Hey class, welcome to Module 4. This is going to be an introduction to weeks 9, 10, and 11. So this week, beginning in the beginning of Module 4, we're going to do something a little different. We're not really looking at films as much. We're going to watch a documentary, but we're going to do some analysis of some mural art. And this is really cool stuff. I really like it. I think you'll enjoy it. But we're going to look specifically at Jose Clemente Orozco, who has some murals that he's painted in some important universities here in the U.S. And the documentary will detail all that information. But we'll also be able to go to these college websites, these university websites. They've put up the artwork in kind of a digital field trip kind of experience where you can go in and you can look at the murals and zoom in and look at different panels, and you're going to observe some of these pieces, some of these elements, and offer some of your own interpretation, kind of like what you liked and didn't like. And so we're looking at a visual arts perspective in the fine arts here, and we'll do that in week 9. This module is going to cover 1930 to 1965, which I enjoy this module specifically. I know I say I like them all. I did make the class, but I do enjoy them all, specifically because we're going to watch La Bamba. And I just love that movie. I don't know. I've always, since I was a little kid, thought it was just one of the greatest films ever. Made me want to be a rock star, even though everybody dies. But hope it didn't spoil the movie for you. But Richie Valens does die in real life, so obviously that's part of the film. But it is about the life of Richie Valens. Ricardo Valenzuela was his birth name, but he was really told to change his name in order to sell records, and it worked. Unfortunately, a Mexican name or Spanish sounding name wouldn't do well in the 1950s. But we're going to look at, in week 9, like I said, some of Orozco's mural paintings, and we'll have discussion 4.1, where we'll have a chance to talk about our interpretation of his work and things that stood out to us and what we liked and didn't like, and we'll get at sort of what those symbols and those murals represented for the Mexican American identity and values. Week 10, we're going to be dealing with the 1940s, and this is a pretty interesting time. We're going to watch a film called Zoot Suit, which is based on some real events that occurred in the 1940s, and Bless Me Ultima, which is another great film that deals with rural life, and kind of centers around what we call curanderos, which are kind of like medicine women, medicine men, shaman type folk medicine, often deemed as witchcraft. And that's one of the elements that comes up in the film as well, is kind of how people treat Ultima, which means basically grandmother. But it's a good film. It's really good. There's also a novel. I debated us reading the novel, and watching the film, or just reading the novel. But I think we'll just watch the film. It's pretty close to the novel, but the novel's easy to find if you're ever interested in reading the full novel. It's great. So, and then we're going to listen to some audio, and there's a transcript there as well, but it discusses what life was like for Mexican Americans during the Great Depression. So all that's going to happen in week 10 of Module 4, this module, and then we'll be able to talk about the issues surrounding Ultima and her practices in discussion 4.2. Then in week 11, we'll get to watch La Bamba, and we will watch the film, but we'll also read an article that addresses the Richie Valens story from a Mexican-American humanities perspective. And then there's a neat article in there too that was on NPR, and it has to do with the survival of the song La Bamba, which was one of Richie Valens' #1 hits. But don't forget, you should still be reading Cisneros, The House on Mango Street. You should still be reading. The text is posted here online, and you have the audio, so you should be able to be cruising right along. Like I said, it's not very long, and we're given pretty good amount of time to read it. So, but don't wait till the last minute. Try to read it all in the last second. You won't do as well, I promise. And then at the end of Module 4, we have some deliverables. We have summary analysis number 4, which will be based on the article about La Bamba. And you have your second film analysis, 600 words long. You will write about Bless Me Ultima. And this week is important too, excuse me, because you're going to choose the location of your fine arts cultural visit. In the guidelines, there's a list of places you can go in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that are specifically events focused on the fine art, Mexican-American fine arts in some way, whether it's dance or theater or art. You have a plenty of opportunities. So, and like I said, in the guidelines, if you know absolutely 100% for sure that you are unable to physically attend an event, let me know and we'll work something out. So this location selection time would be the time you should tell me. That shouldn't wait. If you just bring it up before the end of the course, I'm not going to entertain that conversation. So you have plenty of time to work something out where we can find something that does accommodate. But in the meantime, you should be able to choose something now. Let me know. Post it on there. Unless you can't, now would be the time to tell me. So, Module 4 covers 1930 to 1965. We're going to look at Jose Clemente Orozco. We're going to look at the film Zoot Suit, Bless Me Ultima. We're going to look at La Bamba, and we're going to talk about how these films represent the Mexican-American experience, how they represent the values, how they are themselves works of art, these films. And then the deliverables, you're going to turn in summary analysis number 4, film analysis number 2, choose your cultural/fine arts visit location. You're going to choose where you're going to go. And then we have Module 4 quiz as well. All right, so this covers weeks 9, 10, and 11. We only have 2 more modules after this, 5 and 6. And remember, the last module in the class is 2 weeks long, just like the first module was. And I'll say this now, and I'll say it again. The class ends on Thursday of the last week, which is finals week. So whereas you might have been accustomed to turning things in on Sunday every week or at the end of a module, no more. That last week is not like that. It ends on Thursday, and I just might have to tell you that a few times because I wouldn't want to see anybody think they had till Sunday to turn something in and they don't. Okay, so that's Module 4. Module 5 is really exciting because it falls during the civil arts movement. So we'll talk about that in the introduction to Module 5.